So Gabriel was a troubled employee.
It was a deadly day at the supermarket, and now new details about the suspected shooter and what happened inside the store.
From strong storms to a serious chill, wait till you see the feels like temps.
We're going behind the costume. Who is Buddy the Rat? The well-dressed and life-sized rat making viral videos online. This is News 4 Now for April 21st. I'm Adam Cooperstein. A trip to the supermarket turned terrifying on Long Island. Gunshots rang out inside a Stop and Shop yesterday. 3 people were shot, one of them is dead, and now we're learning more about what happened inside. This is video from this morning of 31-year-old Gabriel DeWitt Wilson. That's the suspected shooter. He was arrested after a 4-hour search. He's now charged with murder and attempted murder. Wilson's accused of killing 49-year-old Ray Wishropp, a store manager at that West Hempstead supermarket. Police say Wilson also shot another 50-year-old man 3 times and a woman once. Authorities say he fired a semi-automatic handgun 7 times, aiming at 5 people. And then after getting away in a bus, Wilson was found less than 2 miles from the scene. Today, we learned that Wilson went into the manager's office earlier in the day after having problems with fellow employees.
Yesterday, he originally went into that managing office and spoke to the 50-year-old manager about transferring to Hempstead Stop and Shop. It was non-confrontational at that time. It lasted approximately 1 to 2 minutes, that conversation. He left the building without any violence or anything else being said. 40 minutes later, he returned to the building, and you know the rest. He walked right up to the offices, opened fire on the 5 individuals that causing the death and the injuries that we stated.
Police say Wilson has a lengthy criminal history, including attempted murder in Baltimore. He faces 25 years to life in prison. He'll be back in court on Friday, and police say the other 2 people shot are conscious and alert. There were demonstrations across New York City after the jury found former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all charges in the murder of George Floyd. In Manhattan, a group marched from Times Square to Union Square. Another one then marched through Brooklyn, starting at the Barclays Center. And many of the marchers that we talked to say the verdict was no victory, but it was accountability and the first step on the road to justice.
I'm really happy with the verdict. Honestly, I think what they did to George Floyd was completely wrong.
The verdict is the right verdict, but you cannot defund the police. You have to reform the police.
They say the conviction was no victory because a life was still lost. The demonstrations here in New York remain peaceful. Video from a New Jersey police department is causing a stir online. It shows an interaction between officers and teens on bikes.
You rode past me.
Nobody heard you.
Get off the bike, dude.
Wait, let me search something.
Get off the bike.
Let me search something. Wait.
Get off. Just take their bike. Yep.
This video apparently shows Perth Amboy cops confiscating bicycles from a group of teens and arresting one of them. But this part of the edited YouTube video shows what police say they were reacting to. Teens behaving badly on bikes and riding right past police cars headed in the opposite direction.
They're creating a hazard for everybody else around them. And themselves.
We know that there are far too many situations in which police respond to something, it escalates, and it leads to the tragic death or injury of people of color in our society.
The video shows police giving the teens back their bikes and then telling them to have fun the right way. On social media, civil liberty advocates, including the ACLU, said police were too heavy-handed. The Middlesex County prosecutor says what happened before, during, and after the video is now under review. Well, if you needed another incentive to get the vaccine, some marijuana activists have a simple proposition for you: joints for jabs. Activists around the country, including here in Union Square, allowing people to show a vaccine card in exchange for a joint. And they were rolling them right there on the site. And they handed them out to any adult who had an official vaccine card. It's part of a nationwide vaccine drive that mostly took place in front of actual vaccination centers in honor of the marijuana holiday, 420. One pro-legalization group made sure they didn't advertise where the joints for jabs would be so they wouldn't create long lines at those vaccine sites. And we asked one of the organizers what channels they went through to make this all happen.
No, we have permission from the city, the mayor's office, the governor. We went through all the right control lines, and everybody said it was okay.
And of course, afterward, they threw a big smoke out celebration. Well, the magic of Harry Potter is coming to Manhattan. The first official flagship store is opening in the Flatiron District June 3rd. The magic begins as soon as you walk in the door, too. The store is going to feature special handcrafted props from those popular films and 3 floors filled with everything a Muggle could need, from clothing, sorting hats, and specially designed New York City wands. It's being called the largest Harry Potter store in the world. Well, Pier 17's rooftop greens are coming back next month. The 14 by 14 square foot mini lawns come with cabana-style lounge chairs, an umbrella, a Yeti cooler, and also, of course, stunning views of the water. Each green space can serve up to 8 people. Reservations are required, and they've been tough to get. And the greens are going to officially reopen for the season May 3rd. Wind, rain, now we get ready for the cold, and it's going to feel more like winter tonight and tomorrow. Isn't that right, Maria?
It really has been a wild last couple of hours. The next 12 is certainly going to bring about some big changes. The good news is that storm threat quickly easing up. In fact, the skies begin to clear late tonight, but our temperatures dropping from the 60s. We'll be into the upper 30s just after midnight, and we continue to fall as we head towards sunrise. 35 for the low in the city, but notice north and west, temperatures are going to be below freezing, and for that reason, we do have the freeze warning in effect for parts of northwest New Jersey, Orange, Putnam, and Fairfield County through the morning hours. The growing season has started, so it could do some damage to plants. But it's not just the air temperature, the wind chill from winds out of the south screaming out of the northwest by tomorrow morning. The feels like temperature down into the 20s for the city and in the teens north and west, and it'll feel like the 30s most of the day tomorrow.
When you walk into Grand Central, it's almost a reflex. You look up at that celestial ceiling covered in constellations and stars. But unlike actual stars in our galaxy, these need to be cleaned. News 4's Phil Lipoff shows us the process that only a few news cameras get to see, the cleaning of the ceiling stars.
It's dark and quiet, 113 years old, and this is one of the only times a news camera has been able to photograph it. The space above Grand Central Terminal's famous constellation ceiling.
How do you get there?
Easy.
Easy for you.
No, for you too.
Juan Vizcayano and his crew are about to clean the lights that we see as stars from down here.
59 stars that have a light in them.
George Monasterio is head of maintenance. With his guidance, we make our way up to and on top of the ceiling, across a walkway just 30 inches wide, to watch as the LED lights put in a decade ago are carefully cleaned. From one section to the next, gingerly walking on netting inches above the ceiling.
Notice this little hole there?
Way up here above the constellations, 126 feet to be exact, there is only one way to look straight down at the main concourse. That is that hole you're looking at right there, made by a rocket installed here in the 50s.
They brought in a rocket into the terminal to show it off, and they popped a hole in the ceiling to keep the rocket stabilized.
From here, you can see the clock. It looks small. People, even smaller. Tons of movies are filmed in New York City, but the only one ever filmed up here, The House on Carroll Street in 1988.
Kelly McGillis pushed Mandy Patinkin past this railing, down through the ceiling, and landed on the main concourse floor. Sorry, Mandy.
A fun and rare look at one of New York City's hardest to get to and most storied spaces. George says it takes about 5 minutes to clean each of those lights to really make them sparkle. In fact, he tells me sometime in the near future he wants to connect them to a dimmer switch so he can control them during the day and really make them sparkle at night. At Grand Central Terminal, Phil Lipoff, News 4 New York.
Rats. You see them almost as often as yellow cabs here in the city, but there's a certain rat you'd likely see more online than in person, and New York Live introduces us to Buddy the Rat.
You may know Jonathan Lyons from his many viral videos as Buddy the Rat. Well, today we're chatting with the man behind the mask to dirty our claws for a good cause. First, I want to hear about Buddy the Rat, creating this character. It's absolutely blown up now. What's it been like for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, in October, I shot a short film with my friend Todd Strauss-Schulson, and we were shooting in Washington Square Park, and some strangers took footage of us and posted it online the next day, and it went viral. So that was never my intention for it to be this big viral thing. It seemed like such a weird performance art project. But then when people started responding to it, I jumped in and I realized like, okay, that's what I can do. And it's just been picking up steam ever since.
Now let's talk about what you're doing now, specifically taking this big platform you have and doing good for the city.
It had always been an intention of mine to make sure that Buddy the Rat has a really positive message behind it, and I do want to have some sort of philanthropy. I'm going to do the 10% pledge of the 10% of my income through Buddy goes to charity. And so I was really trying to figure out the best sorts of things to get involved with. And these volunteer litter cleanup crews had reached out to me, and I realized, oh, that's actually a perfect thing to get involved.
We are a group of volunteers just in the community that got tired of seeing all the loose trash and overflowing corner baskets on our streets. With COVID, the only place to really hang out is on the street. That's like the safest place to be, is outdoors. So you have more people outside, and unfortunately, they're just leaving their trash on the streets. And a lot of times, even if they want to use the corner baskets, they're full. Nobody wants to live in a trash-filled neighborhood, so we take it upon ourselves to go out and clean it up.
Buddy, wait up. Buddy, I'm coming with you. Wow, you really find everything, huh?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Cans, bottles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get that trash.
Wow, this is a great way to spend the day. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.